Calabria, Italy's forgotten treasure. Opening mystery hook. What if I told you there's a place in Italy older than Rome, more dramatic than Amalfi, and filled with secrets that the world has nearly forgotten? A land of rugged coastlines, ghost villages, and ancient ruins where whispers of Greek gods and Byzantine emperors still echo. This is Calabria, Italy's toe, the land at the very tip of the boot. Few travelers come here, but those who do discover something extraordinary. A region where time seems to stand still, and every stone tells a story. The land at the edge. Calabria is one of the most geographically striking places in Europe. Surrounded by the Tyrrhenian Sea to the west, the Ionian Sea to the east, and the Strait of Messina to the south, it feels like an island connected to the mainland only by chance. Towering mountains rise almost directly from the sea, creating dramatic landscapes where villages cling to cliffs and ancient watchtowers guard the horizon. Unlike the crowded streets of Rome or Florence, Calabria feels untouched. The beaches are wild, the forests thick, and the mountain air crisp. Lemon groves and olive trees cover the hillsides, while fishermen pull their nets from turquoise waters that sparkle in the sun. For centuries, this was seen as a remote land at the edge of civilization, a place where myths were born and history left deep marks. Echoes of ancient Greece. Few people know that Calabria was once part of Magna Graecia, Greater Greece. In the 8th century BCE, Greek settlers crossed the sea and founded colonies here. Cities like Croton, Locri, and Sybaris became some of the most powerful in the Mediterranean world. Croton was famous for its athletes, who dominated the Olympic Games of the ancient world. Sybaris became a symbol of wealth and luxury, so much so that even today, the word Sybarite means someone who loves pleasure. Locri was renowned for its philosophers and poets, shaping the culture of the region. Walking through Calabria today, you can still find ruins of these Greek cities, fallen temples, ancient walls, and mosaics half buried in the earth. It's as if the land itself has been trying to keep these memories alive, whispering of a time when Calabria stood at the very heart of Mediterranean civilization. Rome and beyond. When the Romans arrived, they too left their mark on Calabria. Roads, aqueducts, and villas appeared across the region. But Rome also saw Calabria as a frontier, an edge of empire where rebellions sometimes flared. The most famous of all was Spartacus, who led a slave revolt that shook the foundations of Rome. Historians believe some of his battles were fought on Calabrian soil, turning these hills into silent witnesses of defiance. After Rome fell, Calabria became a crossroads of empires. Byzantines, Normans, Arabs, and Spaniards all came here, each leaving behind pieces of their culture. Churches with Greek frescoes stand beside Norman castles. Towers built to watch for pirates rise above medieval villages. It's a land layered with history, where every stone seems to belong to a different chapter of the past. Castles, monasteries, and ghost towns. One of Calabria's most mysterious features is its abundance of castles and ghost towns. Take Stilo, for example, where a small Byzantine church known as the Cattolica still stands, its red domes glowing against the mountain backdrop. Or Gerace, a medieval town filled with narrow streets and an enormous Norman cathedral that seems far too large for its tiny setting. Then there are the ghost villages. Over the centuries, earthquakes, invasions, and poverty forced people to abandon entire towns. Pentadactylo, clinging to a jagged rock shaped like 5 fingers, was deserted in the 20th century. Today, it sits in eerie silence, its stone houses empty, its streets haunted by legends. Some say you can still hear whispers in the wind, echoes of lives once lived in its narrow alleys. These ghost towns give Calabria an otherworldly aura. They feel like places where time has stopped, where the past still lingers in the walls and doorways. For travelers, they are both haunting and fascinating, living museums of human resilience and loss. Legends and myths. Calabria is not only rich in history, but also in myth. According to ancient stories, the monsters Scylla and Charybdis, who threatened sailors in Homer's Odyssey, lurked near the Strait of Messina. Sail too close to one side and Scylla would attack. Stray too far to the other, and Charybdis would drag ships into the depths. To this day, standing on Calabria's southern shore and looking across the strait, you can almost imagine those mythical dangers hidden in the waves. Another legend tells of Saint Francis of Paola, a humble Calabrian monk whose miracles included walking across the sea on his cloak. His story spread across Europe, making him one of Italy's most beloved saints. Pilgrims still visit his monastery, where the air feels charged with centuries of faith. It's these kinds of tales, blending myth, religion, and folklore, that make Calabria more than just a place on the map. It is a land of stories where reality and legend intertwine. The wild beauty of Calabria. If history and legends weren't enough, Calabria also boasts some of the most stunning natural landscapes in Italy. The Aspromonte Mountains rise dramatically in the south, their rugged peaks covered in forests and dotted with villages that seem frozen in time. Here, waterfalls tumble down cliffs, wolves roam in the wild, and rare orchids bloom in hidden valleys. To the north lies the Scylla National Park, a high plateau often called the Gran Sasso of the south. In winter, snow blankets the land, turning it into a hidden ski destination. In summer, the forests of pine and beech create a cool refuge where lakes reflect the sky. And then, of course, there's the coastline. Calabria has more than 800 kilometers of shore, with some of the clearest waters in Europe. Tropea, perched on a cliff above the Tyrrhenian Sea, looks like a town from a painting. Its white sand beaches and turquoise waters are often called the Pearl of the South. Meanwhile, the Ionian coast hides wild, empty beaches where you can walk for miles without seeing another person. Nature in Calabria feels both raw and enchanting, a reminder that beauty often hides in places overlooked by the world. The flavor of Calabria. Every region of Italy has its food traditions, and Calabria is no exception. But here, the flavors are bold, fiery, and unforgettable. Calabria is the home of duja, a spicy, spreadable pork sausage seasoned with local chili peppers. It's fiery, smoky, and uniquely Calabrian. Chilies, in fact, are everywhere in Calabria. They hang from balconies to dry in the sun, they flavor sauces and stews, and they even appear in festivals dedicated entirely to their heat. Alongside them, you'll find fresh seafood, anchovies, swordfish, and tuna, caught daily from the surrounding seas. The land provides olives for golden oil, citrus fruits for sweet liqueurs, and cheeses made in mountain villages where traditions have barely changed for centuries. To eat in Calabria is to taste the spirit of the land itself, wild, bold, and unforgettable. Traditions and festivals. Calabria is also a land of traditions. Ancient festivals bring towns to life with music, costumes, and processions. In some villages, people still dance the tarantella, a fast, rhythmic dance said to have once cured the bite of a spider. Religious celebrations fill the streets with candles and statues carried on the shoulders of the faithful. Carnival, too, has deep roots here. In small towns, masks and parades blend laughter with echoes of old rituals, connecting the living with their ancestors. These festivals may not be as famous as those in Venice or Rome, but they carry an authenticity that makes them unforgettable. Modern Calabria, hidden but rising today, Calabria remains one of Italy's least visited regions. Its remoteness, lack of big cities, and economic struggles have kept it in the shadows of more famous destinations. But for those willing to explore, that is exactly what makes it special. Here, you won't find the crowds of Venice or Florence. Instead, you'll find quiet beaches, mountains where you can hike for hours without meeting another soul, and villages where traditions live on. Tourism is slowly growing, with more travelers discovering that Calabria offers something rare: authenticity. The region is working to preserve its treasures while opening its doors to the world. Ecotourism, cultural tours, and food festivals are helping Calabria step into the spotlight. And yet, it remains a hidden gem, a place that still feels like a secret. Closing mystery hook. Calabria is a land of contradictions, ancient yet forgotten, rugged yet beautiful, remote yet deeply connected to history. It is a place where Greek temples crumble beside medieval castles, where ghost towns whisper of the past, and where myths still float on the sea breeze. So the question is this: when the world looks to Italy and sees only Rome, Florence, or Venice, how many are missing the deeper story? The story of Calabria, Italy's forgotten treasure at the edge of the map? Perhaps the real mystery is not why Calabria has been overlooked for so long, but how long it will remain one of Europe's best secrets. Word count: 3,010 words, expanded narrative plus detailed sections.